Shabbat Shalom, Namaste. I just finished yoga and I need to do this before anything else. I'm steadily losing power.
This is a really cool story. Another Florida story. There was a Burmese python, and part of the venom team had to go.
It's not too bad. Half an hour late.
This is a really unique thing from the rest of the country. In Florida, this is just a regular day. They have pythons.
It gets harder, in my experience. It gets harder as you don't do it. 3 hours late is so much harder.
Go to Florida, you hear a bunch of people with a Long Island accent and a bunch of Burmese pythons. That's what Florida is right now.
Shri Kanweshaya Shri Agniya Namaha. Sorry. Namaste Agni, you're not an elephant yet. Yeah, nothing to do with that. Shri Subhadraya Namaha. Hi everyone, thank you.
Cops arrived after a quick photo op with police. Batman went back to bed and joked about adding crime fighting to his contracting business. And this just in, after the photo came out, he says, I should have let that guy just rob the house.
Yeah,
And he can't believe that photo was out there.
that's what I should.
It's a grown man wearing Batman pajamas. There's something about this story they're leaving out.
Yeah, you know what it is?
What?
That's not his house. See, he's just racing the house in some Batman.
Oh, gosh.
Waits on the burglar.
All right. Well, for now, we say thank you for your service.
Only in
And
Florida.
your Batman onesie. All right, so that does it for us. Great to be with you all this Friday evening. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.
No, it's okay. There we go.
He had no authority. I'm Lisa Lucera, Fox News. The federal ruling President Trump did not have the legal right to impose sweeping tariffs on the most
Strange
powerful
fella.
country, upholding a ruling from a lower court.
But it won't take effect until October 14th, giving the Trump administration time to appeal to the Supreme Court. President Trump vowing to do just that, saying the ruling will destroy the United States of America if it stands.
There we go.
The White
Namaste.
House says the president lawfully
Shri Kanweshaya Namaha.
to defend our national and
Shri Parashuramaya Namaha. Shri Prabhupadaya Namaha. Shri Advaita Chariyaya Namaha. Shri Arjunaya Namaha. Shri Hanumanaya Namaha. Shri Garudaya Namaha. Shri Narasimhaya Namaha. Shri Krishnaya Namaha. Shri Subhadraya Namaha. Shri Balaramaya Namaha. Shri Duryodhanaya Namaha. Shri Yudhishthiraya Namaha. Shri Arjuna Karkiya Namaha. Shri Ganandvaya Namaha. Shri Matsyaya Namaha. Shri Kulmaya Namaha. Shri Parahaya Namaha. Shri Pamanaya Namaha. Shri Buddhaya Namaha. Namaste. Hare Krishna Manantram, Papapada Manantram. Hare Krishna Manantara Putram. Kanandviva Manantram. Arjuna Kariki Manantram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Pama. Hare Duryodhana, Hare Yudhishthira. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Pama. Hare Duryodhana, Hare Yudhishthira, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Duryodhana, Hare Yudhishthira. Om Shri Ganandvi Vamanantanaya Namaha. Om Shri Arjuna Kariki Manan. Om Shri Arjuna Kariki Manantanaya Namaha. Om Shri Hare Krishna Manantara Putraya Namaha. Om Shri Hare Krishna Manantara Putraya Namaha. Om Shri Ganandvi Vamanantanaya Namaha. Namaste. Thank you.
Iowa Republican Senator Joni Ernst will not seek re-election. She's just the latest in a wave of Republicans opting to not seek another term. Earlier this year, Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina decided he will not run. There's a recall on some Addict fans.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission recalled nearly 3 million electric motors for Addict fans used in gable and roof-mounted fans distributed by the brand Airvan, sold online and in big stores like Lowe's, ABC Supply, and Beacon. So check the old Addict fan because it was over 10 years ago, from 2003 to 13. They cost $74 to $92 at the time. CDC reports the electric motor safety cutoff could pose a risk of short circuit and fire hazard. With 159 incidents of burning or fire, but no injuries. The fans have a distinctive vent pattern, kind of like a flower. Airvent says stop using immediately and contact them for a recall.
Fox History's proudly, I'm Lisa Sarah.
Good evening. I'm Brett Baer. Breaking tonight. Just moments ago, actually, a federal appeal.
Ana Pekwak. Ana Pekwak. Jadula Yamineka. Tatil Jerura.
His authority imposing those levies. There's a catch, though, in this ruling. Correspondent David Scott has details tonight. Breaking just minutes ago.
Gabel Rinat. Ameka Sagabenu. Taharenu Nora.
October 14th, that's when the mandate from the circuit court, the federal circuit court appeals decision actually kicks in. This was a 127
Na Kibol Torulshei Ihudaka. Jababat Chomuram.
that most of the president's tariffs are unconstitutional. This was published to the public docket, as I said, within the last few minutes. Now, the
Parekam Taharam. Takame Jidikateka. Damit Komalam.
Emergency Economic Powers Act and therefore are illegal. The court writing today unanimously, the statute bestows significant authority on the president to undertake
Kasin Katosh. Pero Tuveka. Dahil Adateka.
actions explicitly include the power to impose tariff duties or the like, or the power to tax. Now, arguments were recently held in Washington, D.C. This gives the administration the green light to go directly here to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yakit Ge Le Ameka Bene Zokrei Gedushateka.
But we are expecting something this hour. Now, as I mentioned, this ruling does not take effect until October 14th, according to this appeals court, meaning that for now, the next 6 weeks or so, the president continued
Namaste.
with the tariffs as we wait some reaction here from the White House. Right, but this is certainly a late Friday news dump from the appeals court for the federal circuit. No question.
It's a major story, and obviously there are countries trying to negotiate tariffs, and now there's this question of legality. But one quick question, David. You've seen the Supreme Court step in a couple of times here, and the administration has had success taking cases like this, appellate cases, all the way to the Supreme Court in an emergency situation. So obviously they're hoping for that again.
Obviously, they are. I cover the Justice Department. DOJ feels very comfortable with this Supreme Court, especially over the past few months. Clearly, the Supreme Court is independent-minded and can decide whatever the majority wants, but the administration feels fairly confident, and we should expect to see some action taken to the Supreme Court. Not sure if it's going to be today. Monday's a holiday, but I would say fairly soon.
Okay, David Spot, thanks.
Thanks, Preston.
We expect to learn next week whether President Trump's firing of a Federal Reserve governor over alleged mortgage fraud will stand. Tonight, we're hearing about the president's plan to massively cut foreign aid funding, and he's said reconsidering whether to send federal forces to another
want to do it one more time. I think I did it.
Against the wishes of the mayor and governor. One of President Trump's top aides says reducing crime is a priority for this White House.
There's no place for organized street violence in America. Every American city should be safe and free.
As the White House touts its crime crackdown, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says while he welcomes federal law enforcement agents such as the FBI to his state, it does not want the National Guard.
You call up the National Guard when you have an emergency. There is no emergency here.
The White House says part of its crime-fighting efforts is to ramp up immigration enforcement. Trump's orders are responding to Chicago's mayor, who also says the National Guard isn't needed.
You would think he'd welcome the assistance. His number one responsibility is the safety and security of that city. If he's not going to do it, President Trump's going to do it.
Hello, Milwaukee.
Something the president is also mulling, an idea first floated by Democrats, whether to hold a convention before the midterms.
Listen, Mr. President, let's go, because I think that would be such a great rallying point right before the midterm election.
Today, Trump moves to cut nearly $5 billion in foreign aid from the State Department and USAID, approved by Congress. Top House Democrat responding, the Constitution gives Congress, not a wannabe king, the power of the purse. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says USAID is no longer his responsibility. Quote, I chose to POTUS that I have 4 jobs. He told me to give one to my friend Russ Vogt, so I did. Russ is now at home to oversee the closeout of an agency that long ago went off the rails. Also today, a Biden-appointed federal judge said she would consider a request to block the Trump administration from firing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, who's accused of mortgage fraud. Cook's attorney, Abby Lowell, accuses the president of, quote, swinging his baseball bat against the Federal Reserve chairman, and that didn't get him what he wanted. He took the swing at the next person up at the plate. Stephen Miller says the president has every right to fire a member of the executive branch. The judge's decision on Lisa Cook is expected.
Tikkun Hanefesh.
Hey, Lucas, here from former Vice President Kamala Harris, that she's getting her security detail pulled. What's going on?
Brett, former vice presidents do not have lifetime Secret Service protection, unlike former presidents. Typically lasts about 6 months. President Trump has been in office for over 7. Said protection for the former vice president Kamala Harris is over, despite Joe Biden extending it. Okay?
Lucas Thomas, North Lawn. Lucas Thomas. Stocks were down today as inflation data rekindled tariff concerns. The Dow lost 92. S&P 500 was off 42. The Nasdaq plunged 250. For the week, the Dow lost 0.2 percentage point. The S&P 500 was up, was down rather 1/10. The Nasdaq was also off 2/10.
We're really getting ripped off by the whole world. See, with tariffs, they have to come in. Because if they don't come in, they can't come into our country. So it's power, and you don't have to give up any money. Our country's becoming very, very rich again. I hope you get used to it. You're going to have to get used to it.
President Trump talking about tariffs there. Let's get some analysis of this breaking news of the tariff ruling and other business news. Fox Business anchor Charles Payne joins us now. Good evening, Charles. You know, your thoughts. This appellate court saying tariffs are unconstitutional, most of them. They're leaving them in place until October 14th. It looks like it's fast-tracked perhaps to the Supreme Court.
Pino.
Most folks who looked at this from Wall Street's perspective expected this sort of ruling. In fact, it's been believed for a long time now that this ultimately would end up in the Supreme Court. But it's also believed that if it goes a certain way, if the Supreme Court goes with President Trump, that not only will these tariffs be in place during his term, but no other administration, whether it's Democrat or Republican afterwards, will want to take and remove them because there's a large amount of money that is being collected. And the irony, of course, is we consider it a tax. The Democrats have run on the platform of taxing corporate America. Well, this is a direct, a way to say directly suppliers, foreigners, foreign suppliers, all take a piece of the action. All really ultimately is 2 things. You want to raise income, but you also want to try to rekindle what's happening in this country. And I think that's the big untold story. We are already seeing massive shifts in manufacturing, and I think that's going to continue as well.
So obviously the market's a little jittery about what they saw today. The personal consumption expenditures index monthly 0.2% year over year, 2.6%. The core personal consumption expenditures index 0.3% monthly, 2.9% year over year. You know, It's not exploding, but it is going up incrementally. And
Yeah.
experts are tying that to the tariffs.
Yeah, the market wasn't afraid of that today. August was supposed to be a down month. The first day of August was down 100 S&P points, and all we've done since then is roared higher. We're at 1.75% for the month. It's the lightest trading volume day. Everyone's in the Hamptons. It's just one of those days. In fact, the number came out at 8:30. The number came out at 8:30, where essentially where the market was at the time that the number came out. It did surprise to the upside. The biggest surprise was income and spending. Income was really firm, and it was all based on wages. That's good news. And spending shows that people have confidence no matter what they say in surveys.
Yeah. So where do you see inflation and tariffs and the market's reaction to it? I mean, obviously we've seen it kind of flat, and it's baked in almost.
It's kind of baked in at this point. You know, we were bracing for this sort of jolt, right? It was going to be this sort of jolt, and we know about that. The reason that there was a lot of anxiety on Main Street, we dealt with it. That one particular month, we went to 9.1%, a 40-year high. You know, during the Biden administration, we're not going to have anything close to that. And so you'll have it sort of trickle in. Last week, Jay Powell said, listen, I'm not focused on inflation anymore. I'm focused on the labor market. I think that's a legitimate area to be concerned about for many reasons. But I think the inflation story as something that's going to hurt the economy or the stock market has faded away.
Mortgage rates, however, good news there. 10-month low. Purchase demand continues to rise on the back of lower rates. Solid economic growth. The race for 30-year fixed, 15-year fixed, both down. 10-month low.
And they're coming down. You know, the Fed's going to start lowering rates. Historically, Fed fund rates and mortgage rates have moved in tandem. And so if the Fed starts to cut into this year, into next year, the magic number is going to be 6. I think at 6%, you are going to see massive shifts. Now, right now, the good news is that there are 500,000 more sellers than there are buyers. So the pendulum is swung. Would-be buyers, if they can hang in there just a little bit more, they'll be able to push harder markets. Prices have come down 4 months in a row. So the power now goes to the would-be buyer. All they need now is a little bit more favorable mortgage rates, and we can see a nice little boom in housing before the end of the year.
Last thing, you know, people are going to come out of the Hamptons. They're going to eventually get out of there. And do you think that this market is going to boom if those numbers continue going like they are? If we get a September interest rate cut from the Fed? If, you know, we are where we are you still bullish?
I'm still bullish. There may be some anxiety. September historically is the worst month for the stock market. The last 10 years is down an average of 1.96%. So you've got some seasonality things, you've got some anxiety things, you've got some question marks. We'll see what happens over at the Federal Reserve. But the economy is doing very well. We just came to an earnings season that was absolutely phenomenal. In fact, this week, we found out that the market could go higher without the Magnificent Seven. So we've got a tremendous amount of wind in ourselves as an economy, as a nation. So if we hit a bump in September, it might be more seasonality than anything else.
All right, Charles, as always, thanks. Have a great weekend. Also breaking tonight, we're learning new information tonight about the person who fatally shot 2 children, wounding 18 other worshipers at that church near a Minneapolis Catholic school. Fox News obtained a search warrant for the shooter's home. Also tonight, we're seeing alarming statistics about religious-centered attacks across the country. Correspondent Brooke Taylor is in Minneapolis tonight.
They started to get up, and I started to see their heads, and I got closer, and I just saw blood everywhere.
As distraught parents relive the agonizing moments following Wednesday's church shooting, tonight we are learning even more about the shooter. A search warrant reveals the shooter recently broke up with a significant and/or romantic partner and has been recently staying with a friend. As investigators pour through disturbing writings and online videos, police say they have now spoken with the shooter's mother after initially saying they couldn't reach her. Fox has learned she hired a criminal defense attorney. Police haven't said whether any family members potentially face charges. Tributes and handmade memorials grow for the 2 children killed in the attack. 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel is remembered for his love of fishing, playing sports, and cooking. The family of 10-year-old Harper Moisky says she loved to help her neighbors and build fairy gardens with her young sister. Wednesday's attack is being investigated as a hate crime, and FBI data shows that hate crimes with religious motivation have been growing steadily over the past several years. A report by the
살짝.
Research Council claims that hostile incidents against churches has also jumped, hitting a high of 485 in 2023.
This is a call to the church. Number one, have awareness, but also look at the opportunity. We need to share the love of Christ, the gospel, and we just need to know the environment in which we're operating in.
And community members have been showing up in large groups the last few days to pay their respects to these families who have been impacted, young children who were at a church in early morning mass praying on their first week of school when they were shot at. 6 people remain in the hospital, including 5 children. Brad.
Good tale, Ron in Minneapolis, but thanks. Up next, we get an update on the U.S. plan to sell hundreds of millions of dollars of military equipment to Ukraine.
Yes, what?
And then investigators have major questions about traumatic brain injuries among Navy fighter pilots.
You've got burgers on the grill, ribs dripping in sauce, corn with a little char. Yeah, it's go time. Now crack open an ice-cold Pepsi. That first sip, boom, flavor level unlocked. Every bite hits harder, every spice sings louder, every smoky note bolder. So fire up the grill and grab a
Mine too.
Pepsi, because food doesn't just need a beverage. Food deserves Pepsi.
You're tuned in to Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader. Data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth. Oh yeah. They gon' find it. So true. Oh, and for you. Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
Summer evening is the ideal time to grab some friends a bathing suit, grab an ice cold Mountain Dew Baja Blast with a wave of tropical lime flavor, and make the most of every moment that's left in the season. Because the last blast of summer deserves a full
샤바 때누 까벨 우시마 자 아까 때누 요데 아 따알루못 almost at that. Okay, I'm done. I might read like what am I reading if I'm reading Old Testament, after Old Testament. I think it's the Book of Mormon. Yeah, I think it's the Book of Mormon. Because I might read the Book of Mormon later if I feel like it. Otherwise, Shabbat Shalom. Have a good night. Thank you.